Good afternoon. This is the Devar Torah on Parashat Bereishit, the first Parsha of the Chumash after we finished some Torah last week. And this Parsha is immense in its depth and breadth. It starts with the creation of the universe and continues through the first 10 generations of humankind until events leading up to, but just before the marvel, the deluge, the flood. That will be one of the center points of Parshas Noach, which I'll speak about obviously in more detail in next week's Devar Torah. In any event, what I would like to do is focus on the beginning of the Parsha. And it says in the beginning of the Parsha, Beraishit, Bara Elokim et Hashemayim ve'et haaretz. Now, that Parsha has many interesting things. That pasuk, excuse me. First of all, it starts with the word Bereishit. It starts with the bet, the second letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And one question I'm going to be discussing is why doesn't it start with Aleph? Since Aleph is the first letter, presumably the beginning of the Torah should begin with the first letter. That's one question. Second question is, there are 10 creative expressions of which Hashem created the universe. They also referred to as 10 sayings. They're also 10 spheros. They're interconnected. There's basically different ways of looking at the same thing. Now, if one, as the Ramban points out, nine of the expressions that Hashem created the world, V'yomer Elokim, V'hi Or, for the second one, Hashem said, let there be light, and V'hi Or, there was light. Now, the first, these 9 expressions, we'll talk about in the sense of Hashem said, let there be something, and that something was created. However, it's known that there's 10 expressions. Now, if there's 10 expressions, where's the first one? And the first one is explained, Bereishit, Bara Elokim et Hashemayim v'haaretz. In the beginning of Hashem's creation, there's no V'hi. It could have said V'hi, let there be the creation of the heavens and the earth. Why does it instead say, it could have had different language in Hebrew? It could have been written differently, but as it means here, it's in the beginning of Hashem's creation, not at the beginning of the heaven and earth. It's often in English translated as in the beginning. And the Ramban asks, what's the difference? Why did it appear this way? And I would like to also tie that into my question of why didn't it begin with Parshas? Why didn't it begin with the word Bereishit with a bet? And the two are really very closely tied together. It was written this way to indicate that what was happening in this first verse, it was creative expression, that everything was going to be created, Hashem was going to create everything. But as the Ramban explains, what we're having here instead is that it's to indicate that there are things before that occurred before. And what we're talking about here is the creation of our universe, physical universe, the physical world. There are many higher worlds, and that is also ties into the question of why we don't start with an Aleph, because that Aleph is referring to higher worlds, and what the Chumash, Hashem's expressions are focusing on is our universe, not the higher spiritual worlds. That's one thing. And moreover, even though in some ways we can focus in limited ways on the nature of these higher worlds, one of the explanations given of why we start with the letter Bet or base is that if you look at the Hebrew shape of the letter, the top of it is closed. There's a straight line down, which we might say is the back, and there's the bottom is closed. The only way open is to the left, in other words, forward. What it's telling us, we're not supposed to be looking or speculating on what is above, or the worlds below, or what came before. In producing all that, we're supposed to be focusing on our physical world. That is one thing. Now, the Ramban, in his commentary on Chumash, then goes on to ask the following question, that, or actually statement, that Hashem, there are four primordial spiritual elements of which everything in the universe is made up of. They, in English, would be spiritual earth, spiritual fire, spiritual air, and spiritual water. And all of these things together everything is made of those. But he also says there is a fifth underlying unifying force called helio. In fact, when we get into the Haggadah, which won't be for some months, there's a debate on each time Pharaoh's punished and Egyptians are punished. It's whether there's four expressions. Each certain verse in Psalms 78:49 is broken up to the four punishments or five. Rabbi Elias and Rabbi Akiva, and the underlying machloket, their dispute, is the same. In other words, is that you get punished only for the four basic forces, or did he get also punished for the underlying force? Now, and there's a second message that the Ramban derives from the fact that the Bereishit is this way, is that to teach us that all of the other creative expressions of Bereishit, all the other he, all the let there be, and there was, all of the, and there is, all of those can be found within Bereishit, the first pasuk. Now, what does that mean? At least on one level, what it's referring to is that we didn't have it, that everything, that we didn't have 6 days of separate creation, and on each of those days something appeared, but what happened is everything was created on the first day, or at least its potential, and that is one of the deeper meanings of the Koheles Ecclesiastes of Shlomo Melech, King Solomon, where he says there is nothing new under the sun. That is very true, meaning that everything was created and fixed on the first day. And each one on the first, second, third, and fourth, and sixth day will put it in the proper sequence, in a proper place for the creation of the universe we now have, balanced universe. Now, that is, again, that is one level, and all the things being created in potential, plus everything's underlying forces, or four force plus possibly an underlying force. And there's something even more fundamental here, is that the letters and word, that everything is made up on a deeper level of the letters and the words of the Torah. Just to give a simple example of this, the example has been given that the word Evan, stone, something that looks pretty common, simple. It's really, in Hebrew, a combination of two divine names. It's Aleph, Beis, Nun. The Beis and Nun represents a certain aspect, a certain way of spelling Hashem's, and is higher name. And the Aleph is from another one of Hashem's names. So even something as a stone has a divine origin. However, we can look a bit even deeper on this, and we find out the following, that not only is the whole physical universe created within that, but even there it embraces the 5 books of Moses, embrace even more. And as is explained, there's even more. Everything is contained within that Torah. Every concept, everything in history, all concepts, both of the physical world and of the development of mankind, humanity, is also in it. It encompasses everything. In fact, there's an expression called Nimsa HaTorah Kamoshe Katsul Midrash, as it's written in the Midrash, Tiskal, the writer, and Bara Alma, that Hashem looked into his Torah and created the universe. This is one of the explanations of it. But it also encompassed within it is the entire written and oral Torah. And just to give one example, this is based on the teachings of Rav Moshe Shapiro Zichron Tzaddik L'Bracha. He held that everything is found in the Torah. It's a general principle. But he said there's a word, safek, which means doubt. In Hebrew, samak pei kuf. And this word does not appear anywhere in Tanakh, even in 5 books of Moses, the prophets, the writings. It doesn't appear in that, with that meaning. Safek appears one place, it means a weaving tool, but it doesn't appear in a word meaning doubt. So where is it hinted to? Where is the remez? Where is the significance of it? And where do we find out? Every Hebrew letter has a gematria, a value, numerical value. And the word safek has 3 letters. The samak is 60, the pei is 80, and the kuf is 100. You add those up, you get 240. So where is the connection? As we learn it, it's included by direct remez, direct allusion, and where do we have where does the gematria appear to? Is in the word Amalek. And Amalek created Safek among the nations, doubt, saying that even though he didn't defeat him, he showed the Jews were capable, Jewish nation was capable of being attacked. We just, the nation since then have been trying to find the right formula for defeating the Jewish people before the current era where we've been coming back to Israel throughout our history since the time of Moses. And it destroyed a complete version that, in other words, Hashem, at least in the nations of Hashem, is all powerful. Now, he has a further principle that everything that appears in the Chumash appears in Parashat Bereishis, the creation story. In other words, the story of primarily the first days of creation, creation of man and woman, and where do we see that? It says, when God asks, after they've eaten from the fruit, Adam and Eve, they weren't supposed to eat, and Hashem comes and asks Adam, Hamina eats achla, lachlata, from this species of trees you ate? That was being the first question, the first suffix that appears in the Chumash. Now, the Gemara, the Vilna, the Han, has a principle, even goes deeper into it, and says that the 5 books of Moses, the Chumash, contains all of the halachas of the Torah Shebal Peh, remez, that's and is in the Torah she's solving these 5 books. And what is that? He explains that the entire Talmud Bavli, the entire Talmud Yerushalmi, the earlier one, and all the Midrashim dealing with the Torah, all are alluded to and can be found in those 5 books. And he goes further and says that everything's in the Torah, so can also be found in Parashat Bereishis, in the first Parsha. Everything is contained in it. And he says even more amazingly that the whole Parashat Bereishit is alluded to in the word Bereshit itself. And he further says that the Taryag mitzvahs, the 613 mitzvahs, can be located in the word Bereshit. When he was asked how, he gave one example. Now, the word Bereshit has 6 letters: Beit, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yud, and Taf. And those are the first letters. Those letters represent the first letter in Hebrew of the words of the Mishnah page in the Ben, which means that Ben Rishon Acher Shloshim Yom Tifdeh, that after 30 days you have to redeem the firstborn boy. And it has the same letters. You take the first letters, Beis, Resh, Aleph, Shin, Yud, Taf. So therefore, everything is contained there. Now, that's a very important principle to be derived from that everything that's created in the physical universe was controlled, created, and is maintained constantly by Hashem, by God, and he also is the guiding not only the physical universe, but the entire development of man and woman, the human race, in all its travels through history. And this is something very, very particularly important to recall at this time of very difficult challenges that started tragically this weekend on Simchas Torah. About Simchas Torah is that everything that happened that Hashem does is for the best, even if we can't understand it. And even further, that all of the events, even though it seems to us inexplicable how it could be, including the terrible events of the past, this past 5 days, is moving us to the ultimate redemption. May this be the last tragedy that we as a people face, and may we experience the joy of the ultimate redemption, the final tikkun, the final perfection of the universe this year.